Hello, everybody. I'm just getting ready to broadcast to LinkedIn Live and to Facebook Live. In fact, I'm broadcasting right now, but I'm just getting ready to record my podcast episode. So just give me a second and I will be with you just after this. So I'm back again. I think I've got everything sorted. But just to explain before I actually start recording my podcast, this is basically I'm going to be live streaming my recordings of my podcast, and that's what this is. So when we get to that point, I will probably have to ignore you, lovely viewers. Your replay or you live viewers, because I'm going to be just focused on recording that. But please keep those comments coming in, because I'd love to get back to you afterwards. And hopefully, as I get used to this, I will be able to bring you in on the show, if that makes sense. So just in case you are wondering what I'm doing. In fact, actually, before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go live to LinkedIn. And then I'll explain a little bit about what I'm going to be doing. So 1 second. I've got another computer on over here. So hello, my name's Ian Anderson Gray. I'm from Seriously Social, and this is the live show of the recording of the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. This is the first ever episode. I'm broadcasting live on Facebook at my Facebook page, Ian Anderson Gray, and I'm also broadcasting to LinkedIn Live as well, because, well, why not? It's kind of a bit weird, this, because I always say to my clients, don't overcomplicate things. Don't overcomplicate things. Go live from your phone. That's the first thing that you should do, or just keep things really, really simple. So this is my first ever episode of this show, and I'm overcomplicating things. So do what I say, not what I do. But I have to say, I have been playing around with this. I have tested things. So I'm just going to send a tweet out. So just 1 second. Hopefully that's going to work. What I'm doing here, just in case you are interested in this, got my Stream Deck here. So this is basically all set up for the Confident Live Marketing Show. If I just go back one, I've got my lights on and lights off. I've got my webcam settings there. I've got my two different shows. Don't know if you can see that. The Free Range Social Show and the Confident Live Marketing Show. If I click on that, that takes you to the different scenes, which I'll be doing in a little bit. In fact, let me just tell me if you can hear this. I'm going to press one of these. So there we go. That's the podcast intro as well. Not intro. Jingle. What do you call it? Jingle, I think. Yeah, jingle. I'll get it right. Okay, so we've got some live viewers here. Let's have a look. We've got Larry. Larry Snow is here. Let me just, while I'm at this, actually, one thing that's really frustrating about Ecamm Live is that for some reason I can't seem to get the colors sorted before I go live of the comments, and it's all set up in a different one. Now, how do I get the color for that? Is that what I do? I think this is it. Excuse me. Most of the shows will not be like this. Right. Is that better? There we go. That's better. Those are my brand colors. So we've got Larry here. Who else have we got? We've got some lovely people here. Yes, we've got Joanne Sweeney. By the way, these are all my Facebook viewers. If you're watching on LinkedIn, I'll come onto you in a minute. We've got Tish here. Great to see you here. Thanks, Tish, for joining. Joanne Sweeney is saying yes. And you're also saying, Larry says, I wish there were LinkedIn Line notifications like Facebook. I think they will come, but not at the moment. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, I will check in a minute. And Joanne says, you're the live boss. Oh, yes, lime green. So Larry looks great in lime green. Well, it's not my brand colours though, Joanne. So yeah, if you just excuse me, I'm just getting things set up before I do the podcast recording, and then I will let you know what I'm doing. So at the moment on LinkedIn, in order to see the comments, you actually have to go to your profile, which I'm going to do now, and then go down to see all activity. Okay, and then go to posts. I'm going to mute my volume now because we've got 6 comments. This is exciting. Am I going to be able to see those? Yes, I can. Hello, lovely people watching on LinkedIn. This is so exciting. So, Elisa Meredith is here. Hi, Elisa. Robert Stern saying, hey, Ian. Great to have you here. Nice music. Yes, you'll hear some more in a bit. Matthew Holden is here. Great to see you, Matthew. Looking good. Elisa saying, where is Jeff? That's a very good question. I was notified that you went live on LinkedIn, and Johnny Ross, actually, there were LinkedIn Live notifications. And it's very exciting. On LinkedIn, there are lots of different reactions. So have a play with those, because you've got things like curious and love, and I actually forgotten what they all are. But anyway, check those out. Okay, I think we're ready. Are you ready? Are you ready? Joanne is saying, let me just have a quick look just before I get started. Joanne is saying, how many devices are you operating? I'll get a little bit of the tech out the way, because this is not going to be a tech-focused episode. I will be sharing some tech in some forthcoming episodes. But just since you asked, Joanne, I am live streaming this to Facebook via Ecamm Live on my Mac. I've got 2 screens. So over here on my left, which you can't see, I've got Audition running, and I must remember, this is really important, to press record, because I obviously need to record the audio really well using Audition. And I'm also able to record the music, such as the music on that I was bringing in before. If I have any guests, I can also bring them in on different tracks. So that's going to be really, really cool. I've got my Heil PR40 here, which is plugged into, we are getting geeky here, it's called a DBX286S. It's a preprocessor. So what that does is it just adds some extra audio, not effects, but it basically makes my voice sound a little bit better. And I'm plugging that into my computer using a Zoom H4n Pro. I've got my Steam Deck here. But I think you're the main reason for you asking, I think. So I'm going live from Ecamm to Facebook Live. And then over here, I've got my PC Dell laptop, which is coming up to it's coming up to 9 years old over here. And that is running Wirecast. You did ask this. So basically, from Ecamm, you can stream over the network using a technology called NDI, and that's picking up on the Wirecast, and that is broadcasting to LinkedIn Live. Because at the moment, you can only broadcast to LinkedIn Live using one of 3 tools. That is, let me get this right, Wirecast, which is what I'm using, Switcher Studio, which is great for mobile if you're on iOS devices, and then the final one is Social Live. So there we go. Okay, I think, have we got any more comments? Tish says this is really super. It is. It's really exciting. So let's do this. Check if I've got any LinkedIn comments. Right, I think I'm all okay. Is that working? Am I still live on LinkedIn? I think so. Hopefully. Okay, right. Let's do this. Are you ready? Here we go.
This is the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray, helping entrepreneurs level up their impact, authority and profits through the power of live video. Gain confidence in front of the camera, confidence with technology, and confidence with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Hello, it's Ian Anderson Gray here. This is the first ever episode of the Confident Live Marketing Podcast, and I'm really excited. Really excited because this has taken such a long time in coming, and that is really what I want to talk about in this episode. This has taken at least a year, probably more like 2 or 3 years in my head to get to this point, and I want to share some thoughts with you today. I'm going to be sharing with you really what the point of this podcast is, and whom I feel my audience is, and how I can help you. So that's what this podcast is all about. But it's also about my procrastination and my journey to get to this point. And I hope from this you can learn a lot and learn from my mistakes, but also learn from my journey. So this is really exciting. So yeah, my name's Ian Anderson Gray, and I help entrepreneurs level up their impact, authority, and profits using live video. But I've not been doing that for the entirety of my life. I actually trained as a musician back in the day, and I'm going to share a little bit more about my story in a little bit. But first, before I do that, I just wanted to thank you so much for listening to this. Or if you're watching us live on either LinkedIn or Facebook, or watching the replay, that's awesome. I really don't take you for granted. I'm so excited that you're here spending your time with me. So what is this show about? And why is it a podcast? Well, I've written some notes here, and this, as part of it, this is really my plan. And I'm going to read out part of my plan, and I'm going to be sharing this with you as well. I wrote this probably about a year ago, and it's taken all this time. So the Confident Live Marketing Podcast and show is aimed at established entrepreneurs who want to level up their impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video. But it could also be through webinars, podcasts, or public speaking. I think the key here is in the word confidence. So we're going to focus on knocking down the 3 main barriers that I feel entrepreneurs face when creating live video content. And I'll talk a little bit more about those 3 themes that we're going to talk about in this show. So some of the shows like this one are going to be solo shows. It's just going to be me sharing my thoughts with you. But some of them I'll also bring in some guests. I've got some fabulous guests lined up, and I can't wait to share those with you. Now, the word authenticity is used so much. I think it's kind of overused, but I want this show to be really authentic. I aim to be the real me in this. And I suppose the key word here is I aim to be vulnerable. I'm not going to just be sharing the successes. I'm also going to be sharing the times when things haven't gone so well. And actually, this is really me sharing my live video journey. I was procrastinating because one of the things I was procrastinating about was because I didn't necessarily have all the gear that I wanted to. But we're going to start with what I've got. So over time, over the months and years that I do this podcast, hopefully you'll be able to notice the difference as I develop my skills and my confidence with podcasting and live video. And I hope to encourage you with that too. So vulnerability is going to be really important, but also one of my big things, one of the reasons I think I've been put on this earth to do is encouragement. I really feel so many of us need encouragement. We're knocked down as an entrepreneur, and yes, we need to be told how to do things from time to time. We need to maybe get a kick up the backside from time to time, but we also need encouragement. So these podcast recordings are also going to be broadcast live. So in a way, this is a live broadcast of a podcast recording. So I'm broadcasting this on Facebook and LinkedIn Live at the same time. And I will get back to any comments at the end of it. But this is primarily to you listening at home or wherever you are through the podcast. So who am I aiming this for? Now, I could be completely wrong here, but one of the things I've been really thinking about, who is my avatar? I don't like that word, but who is my audience, my perfect audience? And I've been thinking about that a lot. I'm aiming this really for established entrepreneurs, people who have been around in the online space particularly. they may have dabbled in live video. They may have done a lot of live video, but they're wanting to improve things. So they've got an online-based business. And as I mentioned before, I mean, I'll say this a lot, they want to level up their impact and authority using live video, but they're struggling with getting in front of the camera. There's something stopping them, or maybe it's the gear or the technology. That's what's stopping them, or with the content. What on earth do they say? And maybe the marketing. Now, in terms of my demographics, I would love to see what's going to happen here. I think it's going to be mainly people from the UK and the US, but I do believe there'll be people from Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the rest of Europe. But it'd be amazing if there were people from the rest of the world listening to this podcast. Now, it's aimed at both men and women of all ages, but I do have a suspicion that it's going to be, I don't like putting people into pigeonholes here, but I do think that Generation X and maybe baby boomers are going to make up the prime part of my audience. We'll see. But of course, millennials and younger people are more than welcome. I would love to have people from all generations. That'd be great. So now the thing is, why on earth am I focusing on a podcast when it's all about live video? Yes, I'm live streaming this, and that's definitely deliberate because I need to be showing and demonstrating the power of live video. But I think actually my target audience, they do like to consume podcasting. So if you are watching live, just tell me in the comments, what is your preferred method of consumption of content? Is it live video, podcast, or a bit of both? I'd be really interested in that. So it's quite deliberate that the podcast is definitely the main part, the main format here, or the main, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, the main medium is the word. But I am also live streaming this, and I want to get some audience participation and interaction as well. So that's really exciting. And also, podcasting is just a really lovely format. It's something that I've been doing. I consume a lot of podcast content, and actually I did have a podcast many years ago when I was just starting out on this space. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was called Seriously Social News, the Seriously Social News podcast. I wanted to share a little bit about why I stopped that, because I think that's important as I really explain why I think live video is such a powerful platform. Now, with the Seriously Social News podcast, the idea was it was going to be a short 10-minute podcast every week sharing what is new in the world of social media and technology. It was 10 minutes. But I kid you not, it took me like a whole day to create this, to record it. And I had to record it multiple times because I kept on stuttering over my words. And I was suffering from perfectionism. And I had to do a lot of research. It was just me. And then editing it, putting it onto, I was using SoundCloud at the time, and then putting it onto iTunes. It took me at least a day out of my time every single week. I couldn't batch record it. And of course, the other downside with it was that each episode basically got out of date within a day or two. And so there was none of that evergreen content. So why live video? Why do I want to talk about live video? Well, live video is a quick and easy way of creating content. And it's not about being perfect. It's actually about being real and authentic, all those words I was talking about before. So it's a quick and easy way of creating that content. Yes, you need to plan, but once you press that start broadcast button, you can create that content very easily. Once you press the end broadcast button, you don't have to worry about editing. But of course, you've then got the amazing potential to repurpose that to all these other pieces of content there, I can't even speak. All those other platforms out there, such as LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram stories. So it's all really exciting stuff, definitely. So what next? So I've mentioned a summary of the podcast, my audience, my promise. What is my promise? So my promise, and I want you to pick me up on this because this is my aim of this podcast, is that this is going to be a challenging podcast, an encouraging one, also a bit of fun. I want to have a bit of fun with this. So whether you get on with my sense of humor, I don't know. We'll see about that. But it's also going to be practical tips as well. Now, I believe this is going to be my aim really is that this is a holistic approach. And although the focus will be on live video, webinars and podcast content, we'll also be looking at leveling up all areas of your life, because my goal is not just the content, it's also to level up other areas of your life. It could be not just your business, but your personal life. How can you spend more time with your family and your loved ones, as well as your business? But I also, my aim is for this, as well as to be fun, but it's a no fluff podcast. And I want to avoid any pseudoscience, or I don't like this word, but woo-woo stuff. I want it to be practical and to allow you to break down those barriers of confidence, self-confidence in front of the camera, with the tech and with the content. And I do want to share some case studies and some actionable tips on how you can achieve your goal. Now, this is not about being perfect. I'm going to be sharing my journey with the ups as well as the downs, and I do want to be as transparent as possible. So, why am I doing this? Well, part of it is I need to be doing this. I mean, I am seen by many as the go-to Facebook Live or live video confidence expert, so I need to be doing this on a more regular basis. Anyway, so this is really to increase my brand awareness. I want to be able to promote my products. I want my goal is to encourage you to be able to go live and to not stay where you are. I want you to push forwards and encourage you in that. So, and I also want to build relationships with guests that I have on the show, and also some sponsors. So we've got some exciting sponsors that are going to be sponsoring the show, which is really, really exciting. So I think that's basically all about the podcast, and that's really exciting. But maybe I'll share a little bit about me. Now, I know some of you will know me who are listening, but you may not know me if you are listening. So just a little bit about me. So I said before that I trained as a musician. When I was at school, I really struggled between knowing what to do. I suppose I struggled with my identity, and I wasn't sure whether to go down the science route, because I loved science. I still love science, or the technology, or do I go down the performance route? And my mum was an opera singer, so there was definitely some music in the family. But when it came to choosing where I was going to go, I ended up going to university to do music, and then I went to the Royal Northern College of Music here in Manchester in the UK to train as a professional classical singer. Shortly after I left, I set up a web agency with my dad. I was very much involved with technology and building websites, and so it seemed a good idea to build websites for my fellow musicians. Skip forward quite a few years, and I wanted to create a blog, so I created a blog with my initials IAG.me, and that really changed everything for me. I started writing blog posts about social media and technology, which really interested me. And I ended up being asked to speak at conferences, particularly as the big one for me was a conference in Manchester called the Big Social Media Conference. And we had some amazing people like Mary Smith and Melanie Dodaro come to that. And it was also where I met my partner in crime, Julia Bramble, there. And that was amazing. And that same year, I think I've got this right, or it could have been the year after. I'll have to check my dates. I was asked to speak at Social Media Marketing World for the first time, which is the biggest social media conference in the world. That changed everything again for me. And but I did really suffer with imposter syndrome. And we're going to do a whole episode on imposter syndrome in the future. But a lot of people believed in me at the time. I didn't believe in myself, but people believed in me. And that kept me going and going and going until the next thing that happened, which was 3 years ago. Everyone seems to have access to Facebook Live, but I didn't. So I ended up doing some research, and I wrote an article on how to broadcast to Facebook Live from your computer. And that article has had over 5 million page views since that. It allowed me to launch my first course, and I'm now speaking around the world about live video. But it was the most important thing really here was an epiphany moment for me, which is where I felt suddenly that all those little parts of my life converged into this new sub-brand, Confident Live, because I had that background in performance, that background in teaching. I've been teaching singing and other types of things over the years, and also my love of technology, and all of them merge with Confident Live, and also my real joy and my real wanting to help people build their confidence and get through those barriers that are holding them back. So that's a little bit about me. I'll be sharing some more about my story over the coming few weeks and episodes. So, why did it take such a long time for me to get around to doing this? Why this podcast almost never happened? And it is true. I came up with the idea about a year ago. I was speaking with my friends Mike and Isabella and asking them if they could help me with the music at the beginning of the podcast. And I've just checked the emails. It was about a year ago. And I've been talking with them for ages. And I hope you agree they did an amazing job with the intro music for this. So part of the issue is, for me, procrastination. But if we dig a little bit deeper in that, I wonder whether you suffer from procrastination. But part of that is maybe, if I'm being totally honest, a lack of self-confidence and the ability that I have to compare myself with others and overcomplication and a bit of imposter syndrome, all of those mixed together. And so I wonder whether you suffer from those things, because those things have been holding me back and not believing in the gifts that I have to share with the world when it comes to live video. The thing that's kept me going is the knowledge that my friends out there have believed in me, and that has kept me going. That is why I'm here today. And I encourage you, if you are not in a mastermind group, if you do not have people around you who are the encouragers, you need to find those people. Because otherwise, you may not be getting your full potential, fulfilling your full potential. So those traits, the comparison syndrome, overcomplication, imposter syndrome, those are all what I call live video syndromes. They are things that we can all suffer from, and they can all hold us back. But I want to put those behind me and create content that is really going to help you move forwards in your business. And I want to share my journey. I want to share the things that I get wrong as well as the things that I get right. And one of the reasons why I didn't go live was because I was worried about my background and about my webcam. I'm actually using a C920 webcam for this, which is not the most amazing one, but it's a pretty good camera for people starting out. But I was wanting to take things to the next level and get a really, really nice camera for that. But then I started to think to myself, the more I procrastinate about this and start looking at the technology, the more I let people wait. And I need to start sharing my message with my audience. So I think that's about it for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you will stick around for the next few episodes and beyond, and do get in touch. One thing I've been talking a lot about in this episode is encouragement. I want to encourage you, but I hope that you can encourage me and get in touch. My email address is ian@iag.me, but you can find me at my website, iag.me, or just follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, wherever you want. And I'd love to hear from you. I really would. So I will see you all very soon. And I thank you so much for listening into this podcast. And I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray. Be sure to join the community at iag.me, where you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video. And until next time, toodaloo.
So I did it, I think. So I'm still live on Facebook. I'm still live on LinkedIn. I haven't actually stopped the podcast recording, but I will now. Too many things to think about. Has that stopped? Yes, it has. So thank you so much for bearing with me, and I hope you found that really interesting. I wasn't sure whether this was going to be a good way of doing things, actually live streaming me recording the podcast, but I have seen other people do it. My friend Cliff Ravenscraft has done this in the past, and it's worked really well for him. Having said that, he has been podcasting for years. He's got thousands of podcasts under his belt, and so I wasn't sure I was necessarily going to be able to do that, but I actually really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed doing that, and I can see we've got a few comments as well. I'm going to check on LinkedIn too. So let's have a look. So Tish has been saying that's really good. A bit of encouragement there. So this is really super. Bravo. And global we got there. So Gavin Hammer's here. My friend Gavin who's the CEO of a fantastic social media management tool, I should say. Sendable was on live. I don't know whether you're still here. Podcast very seldom live. So that's interesting that you were talking about. So I was asking the question, what do you prefer to consume in terms of content? And I agree. I mean, I definitely see the power of live video, but podcasting I listen to a lot of podcasts. Tish is lovely. You're always lovely, Tish. We will certainly believe in you and support you wholeheartedly and emotionally. That's wonderful. Thank you. I really appreciate you, Tish. I really do. And Sasha says, Dan, just managed to get the last minute. We'll have to listen to the podcast. So don't worry. That's one of the disadvantages with live video, but you can watch the replay either on Facebook or LinkedIn. And just to let you know, when I go live with the podcast, it's going to be a week on Friday. So what date is that? I should know this. Week on Friday. So that is the 24th of May. So I need to submit this to iTunes on the Wednesday the 22nd. Hopefully it will get in for the 24th. So I need to record a few more episodes because I want to go live with 2 or 3 of those episodes. Larry says, this is interesting. I will get onto you LinkedIn people, by the way. Tim Schmoyer does live podcast on YouTube. That's cool. I'm going to have to check that out. Do you know, Larry, I've not actually met Tim Schmoyer yet. It's nuts because I'm pretty sure he comes to Social Media Marketing World every week. Every week? Every year. That's what's happened. I think I've used all my energy with doing that. Okay, let's have a look on LinkedIn. So here we go. Now, I don't know which way this is. Is it reverse chronological or chronological? So Elisa says, I was notified that you went live on LinkedIn. Roberts says, I was notified on LinkedIn you went on. Am I still there? I think I am. It doesn't really work because that's why I'm in the office. The Wi-Fi in the office is really bad. Robert says, it was interesting. I was notified on LinkedIn, but not on Facebook. So we're talking a lot of stuff here. You really need your sound. You really need your voice to sound better. Oh, that's very sweet of you, Elisa. Victoria Sheridan's here. And Scott says, Elisa, true. Ian's got pipes. Now, I will possibly be doing some singing at some point. When you listen to the podcast, I'm going to have some fun with that. Tim Lewis says, OU multi-broadcasting. Someone is going to need to write a comment aggregator. And that's a really good point, Tim, because this is one of the big problems at the moment. If you do multicast to lots of different networks, it's something I don't recommend that people do, to be honest, broadcasting to more than one platform. And there is a reason why I'm doing it this way, and I'll explain in a minute. But one of the big reasons is that you can't really get to keep track of those comments across all those different platforms very easily. It's a real pain. So it would be great if there was a comment aggregator. There kind of is one with Ecamm Live. If you link it up with, what's it called again? Restream.io. They have kind of got a comment aggregator, but it's a little bit buggy and it doesn't work in all situations. And more to the point, with Restream.io, you can't schedule your live broadcast. So that's no good to me. No, the reason why I'm doing it to Facebook Live and LinkedIn Live is really that Facebook Live is really where my home is, but LinkedIn Live is something I totally see the power of, and LinkedIn is something that I really want to go all out on. And I've been seeing so much interaction. I mean, we've got loads of people watching us live on LinkedIn, which is great. So I definitely see that as a really powerful thing. Also, LinkedIn Live is still in a closed beta at the moment, so it's something that I really want to play around with and test. So Tim says, yes, I'm on LinkedIn. Yeah, that's good. I can't actually see anything. That's basically what I see. It looks like in black, just a black screen there. Let me just see if I can. Oh, well. Looks like I've got 11 people. Thought you'd be on Twitch, Tim says. Well, I could be, but my old PC laptop, it's a Dell i5 processor thing, and it's about 9 years old, and it's only just coping with what I'm flinging at it. I think at some point I will definitely buy a PC that I'll be able to broadcast to lots of different platforms at the same time. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I should broadcast to multiple platforms? I think just one or two for now. That's all I want to do. I want to keep things simple, focus mainly on the podcast, and also just have a little chat with you guys. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there, I think. Just a few more comments here. So Tish says, "Oh, a songbird, yes." I might do a bit of that. It was quite interesting, actually, or quite bizarre. Last week, I was speaking at InfoShare, which is the biggest not social media, but biggest technology conference in Central Europe. So I was speaking in Poland, in Gdansk. I don't think you pronounce the G, so it's Dansk, which is on the north of Poland. And at the end of my talk, there were a few questions, but the next person had some problems with their laptop, and so the room host kept me up there and asked me lots of random questions like, what's my favourite car, and do I support Manchester United or Manchester City? I had to say I don't support either of them because I'm not really into football or soccer, which was not the right thing to say. But anyway, he then asked me to sing. So I had to sing in front of, I don't know how many people there, but I reckon 300 to 400, maybe even more people in the audience. It seems like a lot of people there. And so I sang an American folk song called Shenandoah. So that was really fun. Yes, and Tish also says, you'll have to do a podcast about letting us know how your new Mac is doing. Yes, we're not going to talk about that. I've had some problems with my Mac over the years. I will share some of that, definitely. So just finally from Tim, thank you so much for joining me, Tim. It's always a big encouragement to have you here. So the appeal of Twitch is it's easiest to monetize. That depends on what you were doing, I guess. So yeah, that's a really interesting point. That's what I've heard about Twitch. It's quite easy to monetize, but that's not actually my aim. I'm definitely aiming to be able to get sponsors to pay for all the editing. I don't want to end up having to do all the editing and the video editing and doing all that kind of stuff. So sponsors are going to be able to pay for that kind of stuff. But really, for me, it's about awareness. I want to get my name out there. I want to be able to help more and more people. I do want to monetize it, though, indirectly. So I do want to grow my business. I'm going to talk quite openly about this, about my struggles over the years. But one of the things that really, resonated with me was was it like a year ago? Somebody said, I think it was Troy Dean from WP Elevation said, you can't help people if you don't run a profitable business. And so my focus definitely has been over the last couple of years to grow a profitable business, because my aim is to help more and more people. And so money is important. You know, I want to support my family. I want to support you. And so, yes, monetization, but not directly through the podcast, if that makes sense. Andy Foot says, what do you think swung you the pilot? Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. What was that? What do you think swung you the? You have to explain what you mean by that. But anyway, I think I'm gonna leave it there. So there we go. This is another little audio clip that Music Radio Creative created for me. So what do you think of this?
You're listening to the Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray.
There we go. Got some more fun ones like that. Right, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching me live. It's been such an encouragement. It's great to have you here. I'll let you know when the next one's going to be. I'm going to be much better at telling you when these are going to be, but at the moment I'm just squeezing them in as quickly as I can over the next week and a half. But I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching the Confident Live Marketing Show. Bye, everyone.